word communication is descended from the Latin noun communicatio, which meant a sharing or imparting. Over the years, it has been used to describe the process of sharing information, ideas, and thoughts from one person to another. But is sharing all there is to communication? What happens when a party shares but the other party fails to receive? How can we know when we have truly communicated, and why is it important that we do? Good day, my name is Blessing Idoko, a 200 level accounting student of University of Lagos. Today, for our business communication project, my group and I shall be discussing achieving effective communication. We will first look at what communication is and how it differs from effective communication. Next, we'll see the role effective communication plays in business. Of course, we'll also be learning how to communicate effectively by applying certain principles. This will then lead us to identifying communication barriers and how they hinder its effectiveness. Finally, we'll explain why communicating effectively is important.
My name is Ojulu Olamide, and I'm going to be explaining the meaning of communication and the models of communication process. Firstly, communication in its most basic form can be explained as a transfer of information. This could be in form of words, written, it could be verbal, emotions, appearance, body gestures, and etc. Even silence can be a form of message when it exists to deliver a point. The expected result of communication is that all the parties involved share the same idea and information. Complexly defined, communication is the sharing, transmission of information gotten from the source, from the sender or transmitter through a channel. It could be a medium of passage to the receiver. It is believed by some scholars that communication process is only complete when the sender gets feedback from the receiver.
My name is Oyine Abdikarim. I'll be talking about effective communication and effective communication in business. Effective communication is a communication that fulfills its purpose. Effective communication is the process of exchanging ideas, thoughts, opinion, knowledge, and data so that the message is received and understood with clarity and purpose. When communication is effective, both the sender and the receiver feel satisfied. Some people perceive communication operates one way. They think all they need to do to communicate is clearly enough. The problem with this thought process is that it is too simplistic an approach and sees receiver as passive processor of information. But all communication has the potential to be two-way, hence must be treated as such. The art of communication also involves finding effective and efficient means of sharing information so that it is well structured to meet the receiver's need. Business today are heavily dependent on information to meet organizational need. Thus, effective communication plays a key role in fulfilling these needs and contributes significantly to organizational success. In business, communication is integral to sales, client relationship, item development, company's culture, employees' engagement, and innovative thoughts. Therefore, in order to cause productivity to increase, errors to decrease, increase in job satisfaction level to employees, and increase in product satisfaction levels to customers, effective communication is necessary. Effective communication ensures that all organizational objectives are achieved, thereby playing an important role in business to inform and influence behavior.
Hello everyone, my name is Oyedokun Samuel. I'll be talking on the principles of achieving effective communication. For any communication to be effective, it must adhere to the following principles, which has been summarized into 7 C's. I'll be listing the 7 C's and also giving us brief explanations on what they entail. The first one is completeness. The first criteria on an effective communication is completeness. The message of the context of the communication should contain all the facts required for proper reaction by the recipient. A complete communication clarifies all possible questions and helps to take proper decision. Conciseness. The subject matter of the communication should be brief and short in nature. No unnecessary elaborations is to be made in a communication. Words used in a communication should be appropriate and expression should be precise. We should also avoid repetition. 3. Consideration. While making communication, the sender should consider the social and cultural background, education, age, emotions of the recipient, and modify language, change attitude, and approach accordingly. Concreteness. Concrete communication refers to exchange of specific, definite, and exact information instead of vague and general information. It is convincing and acceptable to the recipient as there is no ambiguity in it. 5. Courtesy. A courteous approach should be present in an effective communication. The sender of the message should be alert in respect of dignity, respect, and honor of the receiver. Care should be taken so that the communication may not hurt, injure, belittle, irritate the receiver in any way. Sender will also be respected in turn as honor begets honor. We are also endeavored to use positive language. Clarity. Clarity must be maintained in communication. The idea contained in the message should be expressed clearly. There will remain no confusion in respect of the meaning of the message. The sender and the receiver of the message will understand identically. 7, which is the last one, correctness. Effective communication should be correct in spelling, construction of sentence, and use of language. Grammatical mistakes must be avoided. Dictionary, computerized spelling checker, etc. may be used to make the message error-free. Revision of the text is also needed to avoid any careless omission. A correct message creates good impact on the receiver and enhances prestige of the sender. And that is all for the principles of achieving effective communication. Thank you.
My name is Smith Taiwo, and I will be identifying the barriers of effective communication. So in business, communication plays a vital role in turning ideas into actions. Ideas not properly understood can hinder an organization from achieving the desired objectives. So a communication barrier is anything that hinders communicators from receiving or sending the correct message to the correct person at the right place and in the right manner. So a form of communication barrier is the semantic barrier. A major cause of the semantic barrier is improper or correct translation or improper translation. And some examples of semantic barrier is the use of technical jargons, use of incorrect spellings, and faulty translation, and also a situation whereby the gesture is different from the body language.
My name is Bodwe Michael. Aside these principles, there are certain practices that can enhance communication and make it effective, especially in the business environment. This includes 1. Have a goal. You have to determine how you can impact your audience, that is the end goal of communication. 2. You have to adjust your medium. You have to understand the context of your communication that is vital to its success. For example, there are certain messages that are better communicated verbally than through written because of the tone, reflection, and the spoken word matters in such communication. And speaking style is for verbal communication. Speaking style refers to the tone, pitch, accent, volume, and the pace of your voice. The same sentence can be conveyed and understood in entire different ways based on how it is said. Speak with a positive voice. Avoid monotone response like no, yes, or talk too quickly or slowly. Number 4, use questions. The more you can find out about a person's need, want, interest, and situation, the easier it is to reach win-win or mutual beneficial outcomes. You can learn more about people by asking good questions and by taking the time to genuinely listen to their answers. Good communication is never a one-way street. If you never listen to what your audience is saying or give them a chance to engage, you will struggle to effectively connect with them. The better the option is always to listen, ask for their feedback, and incorporate what they are looking for into what you are trying to communicate. Feedback doesn't necessarily mean that they have to talk to you. Much of the way we communicate in a visual situation, face-to-face, in person, or via video, occurs through non-verbal cues.
My name is Emmanuel Moses. The second barrier to effective business communication is the psychological barrier. The psychological barrier is a form of business communication barrier that is caused by the receiver or the sender's emotional state. Emotional state such as anger, concern, and grief. However, the following are the most common psychological barriers. 1. Premature analysis. It refers to judging a message before the sender has even finished it. The second one is attention gap. the receiver's failure to listen to the message due to his or her busy thoughts creates a significant psychological barrier. The third one is the transmission loss and poor retention, while the fourth one is distrust. The receiver and sender cannot interpret the communication in its original form if they do not trust each other. Organization barrier is a form of barrier of business communication, which include things like structure, authority, relationships, rules and regulations, and so on. The following are the most significant organization barriers. 1. Organizational policy. The efficacy of communication is harmed if the organization's policy does not allow for the free flow of information. The second one is the regulation and rules. Rigid laws and regulations might make it difficult to communicate effectively. The third one is status. Communication between persons of various statuses and positions is challenging. They are unable to speak freely with one another. The fourth one, organizational structure complexity. Due to many filtering points, communication in an organization with multiple administrative levels is delayed and confused. Organizational resources. For a free flow of communication, proper organizational facilities such as the complete box, the suggestion box, social and cultural gatherings, frequent meetings, and so on are critical. In the lack of these facilities, a variety of issues might arise.
Hello, I'm Falade Adeoluwa, and I'll be running us through the concluding parts of the barriers that affect effective communication. I'll be running us through the personal, physical, and language barriers. Starting off with the personal barriers, both the sender and receiver's personal characteristics play a crucial role in the communication flow. Such personal barriers include inability to communicate with one's colleagues, fear of interrupting a higher authority, the reluctance to communicate, the inavailability of sufficient incentives to subordinates, and the lack of confidence of one superior to his subordinates. That's all. Secondly, the physical barrier. The physical barrier to effective communication involves anything in the real world that is tangible or in the environment that poses to be an hindrance to effective communication. In the modern world today, effective communication, physical barriers include those things that hinder a message from moving from one point to another. They include distance between the sender and the recipient. Some other natural physical barriers include existence of lakes, wildlife, and rivers. In the modern world today, physical barriers can pose to be an hindrance because of the distance between the sender and the receiver. Lastly, the physical barrier. The physical barrier to effective communication is anything tangible in the real world whose presence or absence makes communication difficult. In the world of modern technology, physical barriers to effective communication are mainly the things in the environment that are obstacles to moving a message from one point to another. This includes distance between the sender and the receiver. This also includes presence of natural physical barriers such as rivers, lakes, and wildlife. In today's world, physical barriers to communication include the lack of appropriate hardware such as computers and phones, as well as necessary software such as video conference applications and file sharing systems. It also includes lack of reliable network connectivity.
My name is Ekinova today, and I'm here to speak about the importance of effective communication. Effective communication is an essential skill that plays a vital role in our personal and professional lives. In these notes, we'll discuss the importance of communicating effectively. Number one, it builds relationship. Good communication is the foundation of a healthy relationship. When we communicate effectively, we are able to express our thoughts, feelings, emotions in a clear and concise manner. It helps us build trust, mutual relationship, and respect. Effective communication also helps to resolve conflicts and misunderstandings, leading to stronger relationships. Number two, it increases productivity. Effective communication in the workplace is crucial to achieving organizational goals. When team members communicate clearly and effectively, they can work together more efficient and get things done quickly. Good communication helps to eliminate misunderstandings, errors, and conflicts, which can lead to delay and decreased productivity.
My name is Lasisi Faizat Abike, and I'm here to conclude on the points made by my teammates. Communication is more than just exchanging information. It's about understanding the emotions and intentions behind the information, as well as being able to clearly convey that message in a way that the other person, that's the receiver, gains the full meaning of what's being said. And the fact is, communicating effectively does not occur by accident or come easily to many of us. It requires the learning of some important skills and the application of certain principles. Also, we must not be ignorant of the barriers to communication, because understanding these barriers and how to reduce them significantly improves our communication. By improving our communication, we can improve our overall quality of life and achieve success in our personal and professional pursuits. Thank you for watching.